On December the 6th, we had a major welcome home ceremony where about 4,000 soldiers were welcomed home after a year of being deployed in combat in Iraq. And I'll give you a benchmark. That was just a month ago. This week is their first week back on job after 30 days of leave. In the past year, actually since April of '06, 30 soldiers gave their lives in defense of freedom from this community. Hundreds of soldiers have been wounded, either returned to duty or still are in the process of are in the healing process somewhere in the United States, perhaps at home.
In the past year, you say?
Since April. And the reason why I put April is the soldiers deployed about this time. Well, they deployed in November of last year, and they stayed in Kuwait until April, and then in April they were called forward into Iraq. And between April and November, that many soldiers. This is the second combat deployment in Iraq for this community since 2003. I was with them in the first time around, and we lost 22 that time. So 52 soldiers have been lost, have been killed in this community. So I wanted you to hear that, and the purpose of me telling you that is that we are celebrating the other, the 3,800 folks that have returned healthy and safe. We're celebrating the answered prayers of God at work. Now that's not to say God didn't answer our prayers for those soldiers that were killed. I think God's got a plan, and we won't have to go down that road here for this discussion. The purpose of me, I want to give you some context. There are about 8,000 soldiers that are here in Baumholder. There are about 12,000 people altogether, to include family members. A lot of these people, first time away from home. So imagine you're 19, 20, 21 years old. You go to basic training, you go to AIT, and you go home and you get married. But hey, you're a soldier now. And you bring that brand new spouse from Memphis, Tennessee, to Baumholder, Germany, and live in the quarters you see here. And then weeks later, they tell you, oh, and you're going to war. So the soldier's got this whole giant life experience on his way to Iraq to go to war. The wife never been home alone, much less be in Germany, in a foreign country. Get a sense of the sacrifice, the sense of the challenge, the sense of how important it is to have the hope of Jesus Christ in your heart, to know, okay, this is hard, but I'm going to get through it, on both ends of it. Well, what you're witnessing here in the complexion of what's happening in our community right now is these two entities are brought back together. These families that have been waiting and praying and worried about the telephone call or the two guys coming to the door to tell them that their husband has fallen in combat, now it's over. We still have 200 soldiers that are in Iraq. Our Alpha Company 1/6 Infantry, they're still in Iraq. Just this week, yesterday, at 10 o'clock, we had a memorial service for a Private Bixler who was killed on Christmas Eve. They're still there, they're still fighting, and we still have families worried. So I want you, this is the ministry that we provide here. This is what we do, is to assist soldiers to come to a sense of spiritual centeredness and groundedness, regardless of their faith, but if they're Christian especially, for them to come to the cross and realize that Jesus Christ died for their sins, and that sets them free to be the human beings they were created to be. And nothing else will. And you proclaim that every time you're on stage. So that's why I was excited about having y'all come, to assist me in another way of telling that story, of proclaiming that truth of the gospel in ways that will be encouraging and in ways that will be hopefully fulfilling for future challenges. This brigade will return to Iraq in 2008. A lot of the guys that are here will stay here, and they'll go back and do it again. Sometimes, for some of them, it'll be their third trip there. So I want to, again, I'm giving you some context. You follow me? I think I like to know, before I go in and preach somewhere, I like to know what's happening in this congregation, what's going on here, so that when I stand up to sing, or when I don't sing, when I stand up to preach, I'm going to be saying, bring a word of hope, bring a word of encouragement, bring the gospel in such a way that it will be so powerful, because God's using me to meet the needs that's there. I got to know what the needs are.